As we're getting set up for this next piece, it's one of the great things at Miller South is that we do this thing called arts integration throughout the class. Sometimes they're fairly simple. Sometimes, like tonight, they're very involved. But I think that the more involved they get, the better off they can be. A lot of moving parts. I got to make sure I get those things set. So the book that they read, fifth grade parents, hopefully you kind of know a little bit about it. For the rest of you who don't know, it's called Echo by Munoz. And it's a series of three, actually they're fairly large books all put together, but they have one element that kind of ties them all together, and that's the harmonica. Mrs. Hazlett is the driving force behind this. And I think all the fifth grade teachers and I appreciate the fact that she's taken the lead with this. And one of the things that we decided we would do is that all the fifth graders would have an opportunity to learn to play the harmonica. And for fifth grade parents, we understand what that means. We really do. I had to learn to play the harmonica, and my wife, she understands too. It was a fun experience. It was a good learning experience for me, and I hope that they've enjoyed it, and perhaps they will be able to take this into their future life, maybe teach their children, and it would just do my heart really, really proud if at some point in the distant future, you're able to teach like your grandchildren how to play harmonica. And when you do, think of Mr. Bayda and Mrs. Hazlett. Okay? That's immortality for a teacher, and we live for those types of things. We'll be long gone by then, but we live on there. So, a lot of moving parts with this. They did a great job on the dress rehearsal. Here we go.
The novel Echo by Munoz is a series of 3 stories with a prologue and epilogue. In the prologue, we are introduced to a young boy named Otto, who is reading a storybook, The 13th Harmonica of Otto Messenger. He bought the book and a harmonica from a gypsy, and though some unfortunate circumstances, meets up with 3 lost princesses, Eins, Zwei, and Drei, in the woods. The actions for the three stories are set into motion as we learn that they have been cursed by a witch, and in order for them to be saved, their spirits has been placed inside Otto's harmonica.
And so a prophecy, a promise, and a harmonica began an enchanting tale. The slides that you will see are a way for us to process what we read in the story using sketch notes. The character trees introduce each character.
The roots represent the constants in the person's life, and the leaves represents the character traits. Some sketches have the prophecy of Eins, Zwei, and Drei related to the individual. You will see a variety of the sketch notes and topics in the slideshow. Come join us on the journey as we ride the train and trace the path of the 13th harmonica of Otto Messenger.
One thing I forgot to mention, this is a suite. Suite is a group of things that belong together in a concert setting. It is appropriate to applaud at the end. Otherwise, we will be here for a long time. We want to keep the continuity going. So we appreciate the applause, but if you'll wait to the very, very end and the speakers and solos, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
In 1933 in Trossingen, Germany, we met Friedrich Schmidt, who was a shy 12-year-old boy with a striking purple birthmark covering half his face. Adolf Hitler is the new Chancellor of Germany. Friedrich doesn't attend school with other children. Instead, he works with his Uncle Gunter in a harmonica factory.
One day, Friedrich discovers an old harmonica in an abandoned warehouse. As he plays it, he realizes its music is more beautiful than any other harmonica he has played. The harmonica is marked with a painted red letter M, distinguishing it from other harmonicas.
As the situation in Trossingen worsens, Mr. Schmidt and Uncle Gunter realize they must leave Germany entirely. Unfortunately, Mr. Schmidt is taken into custody by the police and sent to a hard labor camp in Dachau for being sympathetic to Jews and harboring anti-Nazi views. In an effort to free his father with a bribe, Friedrich travels to Dachau, leaving behind his beloved harmonica. His story ends at the train station where he is recognized by two soldiers who proceed to apprehend him. For this story, we wrote an additional chapter to explore what happened to Friedrich at the train station.
In 1935 in Pennsylvania, we meet an 11-year-old piano prodigy, Michael Feltman, who lives in Bishop's Home for Friendless and Destitute Children with his younger brother, Frankie, who's only 7. Through a twist of fate, the brothers were adopted by a wealthy woman, Mrs. Sturbridge.
While living with her, the boys find Mrs. Sturbridge to be aloof towards them. Fearing their adoption may be reversed, Mike devises a plan to join Hoxie's harmonica band of wizards, a traveling harmonica band of boys who are internationally famous. If he joins the group, he'll have food and lodging until he's old enough to find a permanent job and take care of Frankie.
Mike's harmonica, which has a red letter M painted on it, has a mysterious musical quantity. Even though he makes it to the final edition, the story ends with Mike falling from a tree in the middle of the night when he decides to run away from home.
A special activity we did for this was playing a game called Up From the Dust. The players pretended to take the roles of Frankie and Ginny Dunn, whose family wheat farm is devastated by the Great Depression and Dust Bowl. The students experienced the hardships of the 1930s. Players learn about American strategies for survival as individuals, communities, and a nation. There is so much history of the Great Depression embedded in the game.
In 1942, in Southern California, we meet Ivy Lopez, whose parents are migrant farmers. Ivy is crushed when her family moves to a new town. Ivy takes her harmonica, a special one, with the red letter M painted on one corner, given to her by her music teacher, to her new city.
The farm that Ivy lives on originally belonged to a Japanese family called the Yamamotos, who were removed from their home and sent to an internment camp by the U.S. government. When Ivy starts school, she's just made to learn that she's not attending the Lincoln Main Elementary School with her white friend Susan, but Lincoln Annex, an Americanization school for children who are not considered citizens. The second school is inferior in every respect. She can attend the white school only after school when she becomes a member of the elementary orchestra playing the flute.
The rest of her story involves a great mystery surrounding the Yamamotos fueled by suspicious neighbors. When Kenny, the grown son of the Yamamotos, who is an interpreter with the army, comes to visit the farm, Ivy feels compelled to give him her harmonica with the red letter M. We will later learn of the magnitude of this simple act of kindness.
To accompany our journey in this story, we visited a Japanese internment camp and a game called Prisoner in My Homeland. This has given students insight into what life was like in the internment camps. We also created sketch notes to represent this element of World War II.
In the epilogue, we are transported to New York City's Carnegie Hall in 1951. Here, the reader is treated to some enchanted evening as we witness an extraordinary concert by the Empire Philharmonic Orchestra. If you want to know about the prophecy, the promise, and the harmonica and how they are fulfilled, you will need to read the novel Echo by Pan Munyo Ryan.